And welcome to BoxTheBase. I'm your host Vic. That's my co-host Josh. And I guess this episode is coming a little delayed. I would have loved to be able to do this sooner, especially with the trade deadline happening. But I had no AC in my house for like I don't know what, a week, 2 weeks. So we're coming a little later than we would have wanted. But we're here now.
Only 5 days. Only 5 days. Only 5 days.
Yeah, got the AC fix, and we're here to talk about a baseball. There's the Red Hot Marlins. Yeah, they lost last night, kind of in a sloppy one, but it's what it is when you're like I tweeted this out yesterday. When you're going hot, everything looks perfect. The minute you get one little bad loss, you start to see all the little problems that can be fixed. But honestly, there's a lot to talk there. Obviously, the trade deadline. MLB recently announced the 2027 All Star Game, but it's kind of funny to me that they're announcing that when we don't even know if we're gonna play the 2027 season. So we'll talk about all of that. But I guess it started off with the Marlins. I'll let you start it off if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it was not the last episode, maybe it was the one before that, we talked about how dang good the Marlins were. And they've just continued that. They've won 6 straight series. Fingers crossed they win this one versus the Astros. Um, they've fought all the way back to 500. That's pretty that's pretty incredible considering that we were 16 games under just a little over a month ago.
Yeah,
Um, so I mean, what can you really say? I mean, everyone's firing on all cylinders. Ramirez, Kyle Stowers. I mean, it's good all around right now. It's good all around.
definitely. I mean, like you said, the six series like in a row that we won is amazing. But honestly, I kind of just want to talk, which maybe we could have left it for the back half of this Marlins segment, but I kind of want to bring it up now because I think it plays a big factor into why they've been playing this good. Is also the fact that they really didn't do a whole lot at the deadline. Now, there were definitely some things they could have done in general that I don't think would have hurt the team. But the two major ones is they didn't trade Cabrera or Sandy. And the thing is, you might think, well, Cabrera and we talked about it too on this show, not just saying like, oh, good job they kept him. We talked about the optics of keeping him or not keeping him. The fact that you could have gotten a potential haul for him, but also the fact that you keep him and yeah, he's kind of having a breakout season, you could say, but at the same time, he's dealt with a lot of minor injuries through his career. We weren't sure how serious this breakout really was, but I mean, he threw against the Yankees in that series sweep that we had versus them, and he was phenomenal. He gave up the one home run to Trent Grisham early in the game, and it kind of felt like, dude, is he gonna shrivel up and turn himself into a little ball in the corner and cry about it? No, he he stood up there and he only gave up what, 2 hits, the Grisham home run and then another one.
Yeah, he was damn good.
I
I'll tell you that
mean,
much.
if he's for real now, and his breakout is for real, then kudos to Peter Bendix and that front office for keeping him because he's more valuable to us as an elite pitcher than he is bringing us back any kind of prospect return. Even though I am very, I don't want to say prospect biased, but I'm very like pro prospects. It takes time and development matters, but I do believe in prospects if you get the right ones. But still, an established major league pitcher is more valuable to your team right now than any prospect haul he could have brought back.
1,000%. And you could say the same about him, and you could say the same thing about Sandy too. I know Sandy hasn't had the season that we've been hoping that he had. Coming off another ugly blow up inning last night, which ultimately cost us the game. But I still think the way this team has been performing and the month of July that they had, I feel like, yes, like you said, although there could have been things that were done, I think that we owed it to the players, the front office did at least, to give them a chance to compete down the stretch.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as deadline moves, they really only traded Nick Fortes, who was kind of an extra catcher on the roster they didn't need for the future. I mean, he was starting to get way less playing time once Ramirez and Hicks, were playing more. They clearly want to develop Ramirez as a catcher. It might not work out long term. I truly don't believe in it long term, if I'm going to be honest. He has a lot of defensive issues back there. We've seen him throw the ball away, he too many pass balls. But hey, they got him as a catcher. They value him as a catcher. If they can develop him as a catcher, he's more uh, beneficial, more valuable to this team as a catcher.
Right.
So they're obviously going to give him the rest of the season. He's been catching in bulk ever since, not even ever since Fortes left, even before Fortes left or was traded away. He was catching in bulk a lot. They're going to give him the rest of the season, obviously, to catch. They clearly see that in him, and I'm just gonna say, hopefully, they can reevaluate in the offseason, whether that be defensively, give him a lot of work in the offseason, or maybe they reevaluate and they say, hey, we don't want to do this anymore. But I do see the sentiment of some Marlins fans, and I don't know how you feel, and they think making a 23-year-old, which is Augustin Ramirez, a permanent DH is not maybe the best way to go about a player that young. You usually would rather have an older guy as your DH. I mean, I can't disagree. Like, I feel like somebody like him should be playing the field in some capacity, whether they can teach him first base, and that's another option. But honestly, that goes to the Nick Fortes trade. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but that's kind of how I feel
Yeah,
about it.
I mean the Nick Fortes trade. I mean, I feel like it needed to happen slowly but surely. There wasn't going to be a place on this team for him, whether it's Ramirez, whether it's Hicks, whether it's at the end of this year or next year when Matt gets called up. It was time for him to go. Let's be honest. Um, as for Ramirez and where he's going to play in the future, I do think he's a bit too young to be a permanent DH. I'm sure he could play somewhere, if not catcher, then probably first base. Um, and for Fortes, we got the outfielder from the Rays that's playing in Double A. I mean,
I do want to point out something about him that I saw when he was traded. Apparently, he rakes against Pensacola, which is the Marlins Double A team. I don't know, man. And
yeah,
also
we traded for a
today,
Marlins killer.
that a bunch of moves were made throughout the organization because they're starting to add the new drafted players to the system. Apparently he's that outfielder Matthew. I'm not gonna try to pronounce his last name, but he goes by his first name Matthew. He's starting a rehab assignment with Jupiter, so we'll see what he is. But he kind of just felt like a get rid of Fortex type of trade move.
Yeah, I think they just wanted him out. And so, yeah, I think that was a nice move to move forward because, to be honest, he was just eating up a roster spot. We didn't really need him anymore. And then we only had one other trade after that. I'll let you go ahead and take it away with the GT Sanchez trade.
Yeah, Jesus Sanchez, aka known as Jeezy in the Marlins fandom. Yeah, he got traded away to Houston. I kind of felt like that was odd in a way. Not necessarily because we traded him. Like it made sense, Jacob Marcy was destroying AAA. They clearly wanted a way to bring him up, but he was at the moment blocked. They weren't gonna send Sanchez back down or anything. That wouldn't make any sense. So they made a trade, send him away. We got Ryan Gusto. I don't know how you say his last name. And then I should have written this down, but I don't have the two prospects we traded for. But one of them was an infielder who's been pretty decent down there in the minors, and I believe the other one was a younger outfielder who actually has been playing pretty darn good for Jupiter. He got like two hits the other day. One of them went for a double. So be pretty interesting to see what he turns into. I'm kind of happy that the Marlins got some infield depth because whether it's at the major league
Sorry to,
level,
sorry to cut you off. I got their names. It's Chase Jaworski and Esmil Valencia.
yeah. So like you said, those are the two. Jaworski, I'm pretty happy for like that we got him. He's not anything like crazy when you look at his player profile, but hey, this team needs infield depth, and they showed that with the draft. They've shown that in general, with the players they've acquired. So that's pretty interesting. But honestly, that was just a move on another one, kind of to dump, you know, less of a dump, but it kind of felt like you were dumping a player away, even if dumping sounds a little too negative to say, and adding Jacob Martin, who he played a big role in that Yankees series, by the way. I mean, he came up
Yeah,
firing on all cylinders.
he
So
was absolute nails.
yeah, that was pretty fun. But like we mentioned earlier, I mean, Kyle Stowers is playing on an MVP level. I think he genuinely is a top five hitter in baseball right now, and he really needs to be considered for MVP. Um, he recently won Player of the Month. That came out recently, so pretty good timing on recording now. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you just have anything to chime in about Stowers. He's been
Yeah, he's been absolutely out of control. He had that huge role in the comeback on Friday when he hit that grand slam. And he also had on Sunday a 3-run homer. So I mean, man, he's been, and that's with a 3 for 13 series. I mean, he played all right versus the Yankees, and he still had a huge role.
yeah, and on top
So
of that, I mean, I know it goes a little further back, but he also had that walk off, um, which
home
honestly
run.
is pretty funny versus the Royals against Carlos Estevez, which Estevez was the only at bat he got in the All Star game, not counting the swing off, and Estevez struck him out. So when it really matters, Stowers hasn't beat because he
He
walked
had
him
him
off.
beat, bro. No, nobody cares about a Mickey Mouse All Star game at bat.
I mean,
Um,
it's dope if you do something cool in the All Star game, but he did it when it mattered most, and
exactly.
walked off the board.
There's no scoreboard for the All Star game. There's no wins or losses for the All Star game at the end of the day.
Yeah, so honestly, that's been pretty fun. And then, I mean, Ramirez too. He looks like a Rookie of the Year candidate for sure, and even like he could be a front runner right now. I mean, the way he's been playing.
He needs some damn respect, is what he needs. I mean, everyone's talking about Mizorowski and the Brewers organization. So of course, the media train is for him. But another one that basically gave us the win on Saturday with those 2 home runs.
Well, he
He's
did. We
been
won 2-0.
2-0. That was all that was the difference. So he deserves some more respect as well. I think that he's right up there with them, if not the candidate right now to win it.
Yeah, I mean, some people might point to Drake Baldwin in Atlanta, who's also another rookie catcher, but I don't know, man. Ramirez is definitely getting more playing time, and he's catching. I mean, I don't. I mean, his defense isn't great, like we mentioned earlier, but hey, he's catching back there, so maybe the voters will take that into account for sure. And honestly, I mean, I think it's been pretty impressive, like overall in this 6 series stretch of winning. The way the front office just kind of stayed with this team, they didn't really trade away a whole lot, and they just believe in these guys. I mean, it was talked about a lot on the broadcast when you walked into that stadium. What was it on Friday when we started the Yankee series? How these players felt, kind of at ease, kind of, like okay, we weren't traded, we're here, and we're gonna win. We're going out there to compete,
And that they did. And that they did.
and that they did. And honestly, this that kind of resonated with me. Them talking about how the players felt, and kind of like a weight was lifted off their shoulder. Because funny enough, recently, Trevor May, former MLB pitcher, made a video talking about what actually happened when players are traded. And you got to think about it. They're still people at the end of the day. They still have to pack their bags, find somewhere to live, go to a new place, and try and get ready at the end of the day to play. Like that's a big weight off your shoulder if you know you get to stay where you're at. You don't need to find a new place to live. You don't need to get used to a new routine. You don't need to figure out a new city. You stay where you know, even even if you're not necessarily like the best of teams, you know, like because the Marlins they've been playing great and they've been nothing short of magical this season. But it's like even for a team like that, you know, like it still means to these players something to stay with their routine and just not worry about any of that anymore. Not having to worry about their names in trade rumors, not worry about their names in anything like that, and just go out there and compete. They
A
know where the
thousand
routine's gonna
percent.
be for the rest of the time. Now, I did want to talk about this because, like I said, when everything is going great, when the grass looks green as ever, you don't notice any of the holes in the grass. You don't notice any of the weeds or imperfection. Where do you think this team can ultimately still improve?
Excuse me for not looking at you directly, but my cat is clawing at my shorts right now. Um, I mean, where this team could still improve, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. First base, we have the whole ordeal with Wagaman going on, which, no disrespect to Wagaman, but quite frankly, he's not an everyday starter. Um, as well, we have the issue with third base. Uh, we don't know much on Norby. We had a sample size of him last season, and
And he's
as
yeah,
far as this year,
he's had a
huh?
mess of a season because he started off injured. I think that affected him a bit because he never really got his footing. You know, at the beginning, you know, instead of like starting at the beginning of a season, he kind of started like later, and then I think he just spiraled out of there. Like, yes, there comes a point where you can no longer make the late start excuse, but I think it just kind of snowballed and it never picked up again, and it was, I mean, to put it bluntly, it was terrible to watch him out there. Like the swing decisions weren't great. It's a lot of swing and miss, and then he gets injured again. He had what I think hamstring surgery. It was. He's expected to be back before the end of the season, so we'll see what he
Yeah,
gives us for however long he's back for to end the season.
yeah, it's been kind of a mess. I mean, I I would say that we don't have an issue at third base, but then again, there hasn't been enough games to know that. Um, so right now, I think the biggest glaring holes on the team, because I mean, in this run, I mean, as of right now, the bullpen's been pretty good. The starting pitching has been pretty good. Um, I would say every other position player has been fairly good as well, but um, I would say our biggest holes right now are in the corners.
Definitely, I would agree. And also, I mean, I wouldn't worry even too much about starting pitching in general because I mean we have guys on the injured list, Ryan Weathers, Braxton Garrett. They're gonna be back next year. We have guys in the minor leagues who could potentially fight for a spot next year. Thomas White. You have Robbie Snelling, who I honestly thought would have been somebody to get called up practically immediately had we traded a pitcher away. Um, and then I mean Adam Lazar got like one start, I think, one look this year. He wasn't too great in that one start, but it was just one start. Like that's too small a sample size in my
Right.
opinion. So I mean I've seen it floating around on Twitter, some Marlins fans suggesting it, but honestly, I think that for now we didn't trade away any starting pitchers that like Sandy, like Cabrera and stuff. I mean, it's a win in the books right now. We just wait and see how their season ends. I don't think Sandy necessarily is traded in the winter, but who knows? The team might want to revisit Cabrera. He could potentially be somebody that brings back a first baseman, a third baseman. Weathers apparently, from what I've seen, could come back before the season's over and pitch a little bit down the stretch. He's another name I've heard floated around that people say could be expendable, and maybe you trade him for impact bats at the corners. I mean, if you're trading those guys, especially in the winter, you're probably trying to look for either MLB ready prospects that could start opening day, or you're looking for MLB caliber players. So I
Yeah.
don't know how you feel about any of those scenarios, like down the line in the winter, but it could potentially solve our corner infield situation.
Y- Yeah, I just think that, as of right now, it was the right move for the remaining games that we have left this year. But I think that someone like you said, like Weathers is coming back. Um, Everyone forgot about him, but Braxton Garrett is coming back too. And then you have these White and Snelling that's in the minors, so you have plenty of pitching. So I mean, at this rate, it doesn't look like you may get much value for Sandy the way he's pitching. Um, but for example, for someone like Cabrera and for Weathers to have shown that they could play well, you could potentially get a big haul and solve that issue. So I wouldn't disagree with that.
Yeah, and also I think too where the Marlins should really look, and I don't think he'd be expensive, and I think he'd be the type of free agent move they can make is Reese. I mean, I understand Reese Hoskins has been injured for most of the year and hasn't played a lot, but he's somebody. I think that should be even more of a reason he's not expensive. He's gonna be a free agent. He can play for his base. He provides power. I don't see why that shouldn't be at least something they look at in the offseason to try and mend the first base for a little bit.
Maybe. I mean, no bats are off the table at this point. I think we do need players to solve the corner infield issue. I mean, how many years has it been that we're basically operating without a first baseman? I guess if you want to count Garrett Cooper, but I mean, that's really about it.
He was the I don't even know what to call it, dude. He was the better Wagaman, I guess.
Basically, he was a better version of Eric Wagaman. That's essentially what he was.
So I mean, you guys can let us know in the comments below how you would potentially tackle solving those issues at first and third. Because yes, Norby could work out there if he's given more time, but Norby could also play other positions. I mean, he's played some outfield in the minor leagues. He was also second baseman. I don't think anyone's taking the job from Edwards, but you can play him in other spots too. So
Right.
it doesn't have to be like third base is his main home, even though that would be the greatest solution if he comes back and hits
Turns
well.
out.
But I still think you need more depth at those spots. So moving on with to the trade deadline, I think it was kind of wild. It was dead and quiet for a while, and then it was what like late, like 12 midnight before
Yeah, and stuff started happening.
it was a Thursday deadline at 6 p.m. On the 31st, and Jeff Passan all of a sudden starts freaking tweeting everything at 12 and going crazy. I kind of want to get your take first, and what were some moves that either were like surprising to you, I guess, is the way I'd put it.
Well, I think we could start. Well, not really start. I think my answer in general is all the moves that the Padres made. All of them is the most surprising to me. I mean, you'd think that the Padres were right there to win the World Series with all the moves they made. Uh, I yeah, I don't know. You can go ahead and take it from there, but I'm just at a loss for words at that movement that they had that day.
I mean, here's the thing: the Padres. I think honestly, based on last season and how far they made it last season, they they feel like they're right there from contending for a World Series. I think now with the bullpen they put together, I think why not? And especially the lineup because they added Ramon Laureano who solves one of their outfield issues, and he's been playing pretty good. Yes, his whole career doesn't look amazing, but this season he's been playing pretty well. So they traded for that, and they get him for next year. They traded for Ryan O'Hearn, who can be their DH slash first baseman, who's been playing pretty well this year. He was an All Star. They traded for Mason Miller, who for now slots into their bullpen in the back end, and they want. I've heard, anyways, the rumor is they want to make him a starter in the future, and that's what they think his real value is. I I mean the reason he was turned into a closer in the first place is because as a starter with what he throws, that nasty fastball tops 100, he was dealing with too many arm injuries. So we'll see how the Padres rework him to be a starter. But and then JP Sears, who I mean back into the bullpen guy, I'm pretty sure he's a lefty. Offers innings and outside of Sacramento, because apparently that stadium was a mess for pitchers. A lot of pitchers complaining about the mound, and a lot of pitchers were also not only the mound, but the way the ball carries. Like almost anything you hit, like was flying out of there. So
So
maybe,
happens when you play in a minor league park.
yeah, unfortunately MLB can't get that sorted, but so we'll see what happens with him. With JP Sears, he might be better. Maybe being in a competitive environment will help him, and maybe the Padres like something about him, something about the way he pitches or anything, and make him better.
Do you think that the Padres could beat the Dodgers even with all these trades in a 7 game series?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna say yes. If you play a 7 game
You don't
series,
believe it.
I think they can. They I think they have the bullpen to compete. I think they have the bullpen to compete, and I'm gonna be honest. There was a lot of talk about the Dodgers. Before, I mean, heck, I would have been in the same camp, so I'm not denying what the Dodgers are. But there was a lot of talk before the season. Why even play the season? Just hand the World Series to the Dodgers. They spent all this money. They got all these players. They did all these moves, and it was like, why even play them? But honestly, they've had stretches. I mean, everyone will go through stretches where they play terrible and then they get hot. It's 162 games. It's 6 months of baseball. Baseball is one of the most unpredictable sports because of how long it's played, and it's never really the same team out there every night. So there's a lot of moving parts. But I think that the Padres solidified a good bullpen that can get him through anything. If they get no, it's a 7 game series. They would have to get solid starting pitching. If they can get 4 or 5 innings, they turn it over to their bullpen. I think it's very tough for that bullpen to be touched.
In a lineup with Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, and Shohei Ohtani back to back to back.
Well, I mean, I
I
tweeted
don't
this out a
know.
bit earlier in the season, but I mean Mookie Betts right now.
Yeah, but you know the regular season stats go out the door when it's playoff time.
Yeah, I mean honestly though, I mean it would all depend how these teams really look by then, because right now the Dodgers by strength of schedule and the Padres have the two weakest strength of schedules. The Padres are dead last in strength of schedule, so they have the easiest the rest of the way. And who's right above him? The Padres. And there's only 3 games separating them. So, I mean, I don't think they play each other anymore. Or they might have an extra series right now in August. And it's their last one. So, we'll see how that plays out. But, I mean,
Possible.
maybe the Padres take that division. It's only 3 games, and they're both playing weak opponents.
We'll see what happens. I can't foresee the Dodgers losing with those top three in the lineup.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there was any other moves that were necessarily like surprising. The one that kind of caught me was Carlos Correa going back to Houston,
Oh yeah,
and Houston basically just took not all of his contract, but most of it. They're paying 70 mil, and the Twins are paying 30. So I mean, that was basically another player salary dump.
yeah. It was a salary dump. I'm surprised that with all the problems Correa has had since he left Houston, that they took him back. But I guess if they think that's gonna fix the problem, then why not?
I don't know. I think it was more of of like a vibe thing. Like they kind of, yeah, he hasn't been the same player since he left. He's no longer gonna be playing shortstop. They have Jeremy Pena. They need a third baseman. Isak Paredes is out, I think, for the year at this point. They don't really have a third baseman. He said he's willing to play third base. I mean, but I don't really see Correa as somebody who would have like said anything in Minnesota. You know, they told him go play third base. But I think
Mhm.
now that he's in Houston, he's back with a front office that he knows. He's back with players that he knows. You know, not everyone is still there, but when he gets to be buddies with Altuve again,
Yeah.
he kind of like, you know what, I'll do whatever it is to get it back in that lineup. I'm pretty sure they lost the first series versus the Red Sox. I don't know if it was a sweep necessarily, but at least they lost the series. Correa hit a home run. Everyone was like, he's back. And honestly, I'm kind of curious to see when the Astros make the playoffs. Correa's been one of the best playoff performers almost ever. I think if you look at his playoff stats, not
Yeah.
only that, he has the moments. He has all the big home runs. I mean,
Those buzzers are going to be back on in Houston.
yeah. So I think honestly, it's a great move for Houston. I don't care that they're paying him 70 mil. You have him for a while now. For a little while now, and hey,
Yeah, he's a hometown hero, so to speak.
yeah, he's a hometown hero, and that'll definitely play. No, I mean
That'll
I
play anywhere.
no, I mean he didn't really do much last night versus the Marlins. I don't think,
No, I don't think he did. It
but
seems like everybody else did, though.
everybody else clearly did. Yeah, I don't know if there was any other trades. I mean, also, we kind of got ahead of ourselves, but in that Mason Miller trade, by the way, I kind of want to go back to the Padres for a second. They gave up Leo Dallas DeVries, who's by MLB Pipeline is the number three prospect in all of baseball. He's only 18, but from all accounts, he looks like a super prospect. So I
Well, they
mean,
gave up not only him, but they gave up four of their top eight prospects and all the trades they made on Thursday. So if if the Padres don't win the World Series in the next 2 3 years, then this was a complete failure. To be honest with you.
it was that I can definitely agree with, and I know we're circling back to the Padres topic, but I just kind of wanted to mention because not only did they trade a ton of prospects away this year, they did so last year. I mean, I everyone credits the Padres, and it's the reason they're able to do this in back-to-back years is because they draft well, they develop well, they find talent well, and they're able to keep repeating the cycle of I don't care how many prospects I trade because then I'll just get new ones, turn them into star prospects, and trade them away when I need to. But it's like how many times and how many times back-to-back years can you do this before you can't anymore? Before it becomes
Eventually, the luck runs out.
it's not only even the luck, but it's like there's so many factors. Like how do you build a team that way? Like you don't have anything at that point to kind of like a player gets injured, you need to call somebody up from AAA. It's like you don't have that many viable options anymore. It's
Yeah.
it's very interesting, and I don't know, man. AJ Preller out there in San Diego is guy thinks he's playing MLB the Show
On
on
rookie mode.
yeah, dude, on rookie mode, on franchise mode, dude. He put all the sliders up. He put I don't know, man. Like
God knows what he did, but I think we should end this trade deadline segment with talking about the New York Yankees super bullpen that they constructed.
definitely. So they constructed a super bullpen of. I'm looking at my phone right now. It was Jake Byrne, David Bednar, and Duvall, and then what makes it even more super bullpen, according to Yankees fans, is that they have Tim Hill, who's some crafty, like 3/4 right hand. I don't know, man. And Tim Hill's a freak on the mound. I honestly think he's pretty good too. Like not anything amazing, but he's actually pretty decent. Although I don't know if the guy's on the injury list or what, because we didn't even see him one bit in that Yankees series. And then second of all is also Devin Williams, who I guess apparently ever since he arrived in New York, turned into a freaking shriveled up raisin and can't pitch anymore.
It was really exciting to see the new super bullpen in effect versus the Marlins when it was time to close out the crucial innings of the game. um, Jake Bird, yeah, Jake Bird gives up the grand slam to Kyle Stowers, and then followed by a solo shot to tie the game off of Marlins legend David Bednar, and then the grand finale in the ninth inning was Camilo Doval blowing the game after they had a two
Yeah, on like
after they had a 2-run lead.
on a on a 34-foot like dribbler in front of the plate. I mean, it is like Yankees fans are and Yankee fans are in shambles, dude. Like I'm not kidding you one bit. Like all these Yankee fans, man. You open Twitter, dude. I don't know when my Twitter feed got flooded by Yankees fans, but they were in shambles. And
And
honestly,
then
I was laughing at all of it.
and to take it a step further, last night Devin Williams blew the game for the Yankees as well. So
He blew the game, and then Jake Bird gave up the walk off home run, and and to add some more salt to the wound, after he gives up the walk off home run, they option him to AAA. So hey, but if any Yankees fan wants any solace to not go overboard and to not do anything crazy, let's put it that way. Apparently, Aaron Judge got reinstated off of the IL today, so
oh yeah, I believe that was the corresponding move to Jake Bird getting sent down. Yeah.
no, Jake Bird was Mark Leiter, and then Austin Slater went on their other uh, deadline acquisition. Austin Slater got put on the IL for Aaron Judge.
Oh, and let's not forget their last deadline acquisition. Jose Caballero lets the ball go under his glove in right field on
Yeah,
Friday
and
night.
not only that, how poetic, right? That Grisham was playing center field. He walks over to Caballero after he lets the ball under his glove, and hey, Grisham knows a thing or two about that. He did that in the playoffs versus the Nationals in 19. So they were sharing a moment right there. I'm telling you, I do not feel bad one bit for these mighty Yankees.
Yeah, for all the hype that they're always made. Now, they were on a high saying, "Hey, we built a super bullpen now. We're gonna be untouched,"
And
and they got right back down.
I wanted to mention this because I know it's been said. I know we saw it in the World Series last year. I know it's been, especially if you follow Cutter is King on Twitter, who's having a generational run. You'll see it daily. But when they play your favorite team and they lose the way they've lost those 3 games, it really hits different. The fact that they have no fundamentals whatsoever, like Jazz getting doubled up at first, there was no reason he should have been that far off the bag. I understand him taking a few steps off when the balls popped up, but he should have never been that far off. Apparently, I don't know if you saw, but apparently David Edwards said he was gonna let that ball drop, so that way he could get Jazz out at second, and that way the guy who would be on first would have less speed. But the minute he saw Jazz far off the bag, he caught it and threw him out. So I mean, and then I think Jazz was talking about after the game. Oh, I know those guys. I used to play with those guys. I didn't think they would do that. Like, you're trying to win a game. You like I don't know, man. They're
The last thing I have to say about all this Yankee stuff is, as Aaron Boone says, it's right there. It's right there in front of them.
yeah.
It's
I
right there
mean
in front of them.
the lack. And there's one thing I wanted to say. It's that ties into the lack of fundamentals, which is pretty funny to me. And I think I saw it either today or last night. But it's the fact that I mean the Fox Sports MLB crew is made up of 2 Yankees and 1 Red Sox, which is Derek Jeter, Alex Rodriguez, and Big Papi. So of course they spend the majority of their post game segments talking about the Red Sox and Yankees, and Alex Rodriguez was talking about Volpe and his errors, and he said that if he would have done that, he would have been benched. And there was somebody who pointed out the fact that it was like in 2016 or something along those lines. I don't know, one of or I think it was '06 actually, or something like that. When Alex Rodriguez was there, he had a total of 26 errors on the season in at third base, and he had a game where he had 3 errors and he was never benched for any of that. So it's pretty funny to me that Alex Rodriguez is talking about fundamentals and all of that. I'm not saying he wasn't a good defender. Yes, he had his errors here and
Yeah.
there, but it's the fact that you're talking about fundamentals and you're the last player that should be mentioning it, in my opinion. He was not a good
Yeah, they
glove
have
third
no
baseman.
standard. They have no standard there in New York.
I mean, I'll put it bluntly though. When they had an infield, uh, Alex Rodriguez, Derek Jeter, Robinson Cano, Mark Teixeira, I mean, it felt like you were watching a proper Yankees team. Not only from a hitting standpoint, but it felt like at least, they were gonna make most of the routine plays. It just looks horrendous right now with the Yankees. Like fundamentals are out the door, and it makes me laugh because they are big on the Yankee way here over there. Yankee way went down the toilet a long time ago, and I'm gonna be honest, and this is not me sympathizing with Yankees fans, but after seeing them play against the Marlins and really analyzing it, truly there, they need major change, or nothing's ever gonna get better.
True facts.
But yeah, I guess that'll wrap up our deadline segment. You guys let us know in the comments if there was any surprising moves you guys, were surprised that were made, or in general, just your thoughts on the overall deadline. Because it was kind of quiet, like we said, until it wasn't anymore, and all the trades were flying
Yeah.
all at once. And the last thing to mention is the 2027 MLB season, because recently the MLB has announced and has unveiled that they're going to be playing the 2027 MLB All Star Game at Wrigley Field, which would be like the first time in I don't know since the '90s, I think, or something. But the big joke that everyone has said to that is, are we even gonna have a season in 2027? And I'm sure you guys saw the comments and we're a little late on them, but Rob Manfred and his people, whoever is that travels with him, they usually make their rounds to all 30 teams, whether it's the teams at home or on the road, and they'll go into every locker room and they'll talk to the players and I guess that's a way of surveying how players are feeling at the moment. And when he went to the Phillies, Bryce Harper basically told him, get the F out of here if you're going to talk about salary cap. And then afterwards, Nick Castellanos was saying that the things that Rob Manfred said in that locker room was like if he said in a marriage, hey, maybe we'll get a divorce. Maybe we should look into a divorce. Like you don't speak like that. And Rob Manfred, apparently he was like some attorney or something in his past jobs. I don't freaking know. But he clearly talks in a lot of legal terms. So he's not gonna say lockout or lockout in. He's not gonna directly say that. That's not in his best interest. But I mean, I wrote it down in the notes of this episode. Is he talking too much? And is he almost spearheading a lockout?
Yeah, I think it's gained traction the more the season has progressed. I think he is inadvertently hinting at a lockdown in the 2027 season, which would be unfortunate because that means that likely we're gonna miss some baseball. Um, with and a lot of players seem to be unhappy regarding the whole salary cap situation. So I mean, we'll see. Obviously, if the players such as Bryce Harper are responding like that, then it means that more than likely we are heading towards a lockout in 2027.
Definitely. Um, and I also wanted to talk about that in general. Like, how do you feel about the proposed idea of salary cap or salary floor?
I mean, baseball has never operated under neither. I think that the salary cap proposals, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the salary cap proposal is an effort to try and make it more competitive between all the teams.
Yeah,
Um, so I don't hate it. I think that it would make it more competitive, but of course, players are going to be against it because that will regulate the kind of contracts that they're getting. So I can see it from both sides, but I think baseball needs some sort of regulation on competitiveness because it always feels like there's a bunch of teams right up here and the rest of the league is down here.
yeah. I can definitely agree with that. I mean, I do like agree with the competitive nature that a salary cap could potentially bring. I'm not necessarily a fan of the salary floor because it worries me that certain teams might find ways to manipulate that in the sense of like if you say the payroll has to be just to throw out a number, your team payroll has to be 100 million. They might find ways that aren't necessarily the best to reach that 100 million payroll,
Right.
and then you're kind of stuck in the same cycle of teams not being competitive because they're not spending correctly now. Before it was they're not spending, now they're not spending correctly.
Right.
So that worries me a little bit, but I'm not. I mean, I'm a fan. I'm not a player. I want competitive baseball around the league. It's better for the product. I'm not necessarily against a salary cap. I if that's what it brings.
My question is, why is baseball above that? Why?
I
Football has a salary cap. Basketball has a salary cap. Why does baseball not have to have a salary cap? And I get it, everyone wants more money, but it's better for the product if there's a salary cap.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I mean, I'll be honest. I don't have any concrete facts or anything to or any like historical upbringing of why baseball doesn't have one. I would probably have to look into that, and we can revisit this topic at a later date when the salary cap is talked about more. But yeah, I don't disagree. Like, why is it above? You know, why does baseball have to be above it? You can operate the same way. It's the way majority of sports in North America operate.
Right?
So
I wouldn't be against it.
I don't necessarily disagree. Now I haven't really looked at a lot of the other stuff being proposed or talked about in the new CBA. One of them that I saw that I think is pretty interesting is the fact that they want to try and find a way to bring the World Baseball Classic to the All Star break. I don't know how you feel about that one because I kind of feel strongly one way, but I'll let you go first.
Why not? I mean, Four Nations in hockey is during the All Star break. Why can't WBC be?
I I get it. Like I understand the what it would bring, but I'm just curious. I don't know if it would. First of all, I don't think the owners would be on board with it because the owners wouldn't want to stop the season. I think they would feel like them stopping the season for the World Baseball Classic might be losing them money, especially if you're a team that isn't lending their ballpark for that, or so that could be a reason. But that's not even what I think. I personally just like the way the event plays now as its own event, and and I don't know. I mean,
But it's still its own event.
hmm?
It would still be its own event.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I kind of gone back and forth, and like I don't know about it, but for now, I kind of like how it plays like right before the season, and then you kind of like lead into the season with that. But I mean, I would I guess have to see it more laid out, more in detail. Because obviously it wouldn't be
Right.
every year; it would still be the same like 3 years in between every single WBC. But it's my other thing too would be how would that affect players that don't participate? Because you would have a lot of players what just sitting around for it would have to be a longer All-Star break.
Yeah, it would have to be 2 weeks.
Yeah, so you would have players just sitting around not really playing. You would either have to find ways to get them in minor league games. Potentially is something I've seen suggested.
I guess. I mean, I think that whether it's to me, whether it's at the beginning or in the middle of the season, it's the same risk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You take the same risk. So, you know, players sitting around, so to speak, you could take a break for 2 weeks, or you could hit, get to the batting cages, take a BP field, do drills. You could still do that in 2 weeks, and it won't affect you that much.
Yeah, definitely. I can see. I mean, we'll see. It's definitely gonna be a while before that. I mean, they mentioned that for the new CBA, the new collective bargaining agreement, but we'll see really where that plays out long term
Right.
because it probably won't be like obviously this WBC cycle in 2026 is gonna play the same way. It's gonna be in March. That's not changing, but potentially it could play out that way. I mean, there's a lot of this could also correlate with the Olympics. There's a lot of players that have talked about wanting to play in the Olympics, and that's probably something that's going to be talked about in the new CBA because the Olympics are in 2028. So we'll have to see how that kind of plays out in general. But yeah, I mean, unless you have any other topic you want to throw out there or tidbit at the end,
I think we covered all of it.
I think we've covered a lot of what we've missed in the short time that we weren't able to record. And I'll once again say, make sure to subscribe here on YouTube, BoxTheBase. We try to put episodes out weekly. Share it on any platform. Share the video, like the video, comment,
Tell
let us
your
know your
friends about
thoughts.
it.
Tell everyone about it. And we'll see you next week for next week's episode. As always, take care and have fun watching some baseball.
That's right.